Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. It is Thursday. It's been Thursday since midnight. So we are bringing you another mini masterclass live, and I'm excited for this one. We have a very special guest who will be joining us. She is a wealth management expert, and she's going to be able to talk to you about all things exit strategy, retirement, and just kind of give you some insight as to what's next, what comes after, you've had the business, you've made the money. Hello, Jennifer. Thanks for joining us. And everything else that goes after that. So we're going to get to learn from her expertise and meet her as a resource that you can reach out to after this call. And I'm very happy that she's joining us. This was actually rescheduled. We were supposed to be able to bring this to you, I don't know, a few weeks ago. And just life happens and we couldn't. So here we are today. I see her here. Let's see. It takes a minute for it to switch over. Oh, yay!
Yay!
Look at us.
Do. Think of that.
I didn't understand it all.
All the way across the country, too.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, well, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I was just telling everybody how you're going to be able to help them through learning a little bit more about what comes after the income, or having an income, or preparing for your exit strategy, and all those things. So we'll get right into it so that they can get all the goodness that they can out of you. And I would love for you to just introduce yourself, what you do, who you are, what your company does.
I love it. Thank you, Samantha, for having me. First of all, a little bit about myself. So I live in Boston. So I live in Massachusetts. I've been doing financial planning, exit strategies, retirement planning for over 30 years, believe it or not. I can't believe it when I say that. I started in 1990, and back then planning was about kind of cookie cutter, and the small business owner didn't have a lot of great resources to go and look at some of the things that we're talking about today. So it's really evolved into this whole kind of financial planning technique, great strategies and things to think about that we'll talk about today. And as I said, I'm in Boston. We're a national firm. We represent pretty much all the states across the country. I think personally I have 17 states that I work with, and then my colleagues work with the others. And we're always looking at, what's going on from a state level as well as a federal level, because you do have to take those things into consideration.
Yeah.
And I would say, this is my passion. This is my life. I love doing this. I work with people in transition. And so transition, change, and that word that scares a lot of us sometimes, that we like to kind of stay stagnant. And especially when it comes to exit strategies, retirement planning, we think it's out here. We don't want to think about it. We don't want to talk about it. It's kind of taboo. And then it creeps up on us. And we haven't really planned well.
When you say retirement, you're not just talking traditional 401ks, right? You're talking
correct.
Like
retirement.
Actually planning out.
So let's dive into that, because planning for retirement is one aspect of planning. Planning for exit and an exit strategy is another. But then planning for estate or legacy is another piece of it. So it's three different prongs. We look at it as three different prongs, not as just that overall umbrella of retirement.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I have helped so many business owners over the years that their whole point of this business that they are growing from the ground up is to leave a legacy, leave their kids a business, leave their family with something that they can use for their children's children to have an income. So that's a great point. I really never even thought about that, the legacy portion of it.
We look at it like I said, the retirement piece, and we look at kind of 5 of the top things. That's what I want to talk about today, is kind of the 5 things in each of those categories: retirement, exit, legacy. And you might be in the retirement and the legacy. You know, an exit to you means that the business is perpetual.
Yeah.
Or you could be in retirement with an exit strategy and you want out and you're done. And what does that mean? You know, so it's either 3-pronged, it's 2-pronged, or you're just worrying about retirement for yourself. Maybe you're in corporate America. Maybe you worked for a municipality and you're getting a pension. And so you're really concentrating on retirement and the future of that. But, you know, the other parts of it, the 3 pieces of it do all come together. You know, they have to come together to work. So
okay. I
love
would
say,
this.
you know, you and I have talked about, you know, what clients need and what they should be looking for. And I would say the first thing in retirement, so I'm going to give you 5 kind of the top strategies and things to think about for each of those 3 categories.
Yes.
And so for retirement, the first thing is financial planning. So when I say the word financial planning, it's kind of a big word. Like, what does that mean, right? It's still, what does that mean? So you need to save and invest and run your business and look at planning all together, bringing that all together, especially if you're a small business owner. So saving and investing is still looking out for the future, your future, not the business's future, your personal future.
Your personal future.
Your personal.
I see that a lot. If I can stop you right there, I see that so much. And business owners, oftentimes they don't separate themselves from the business. So they feel like, because I'm small, because I'm a sole proprietor, I am the business. But you are not, ever, really. Once you start a business, you have your business and you have your personal. And so how do you address when someone says, I can't afford to save for the future, I can't afford to pay myself, I'm too small, I don't have, what are maybe what are 1 or 2 tips you can offer a smaller business as they're growing to make sure that they don't forget about them and their retirement or their long-term plans?
So
if
you're a small business owner, an entrepreneur, and even some of my high net worth business owners, you know, what they're doing is they're always trying to put something into some type of benefit or retirement account for themselves as they're running that business. And of course, there are, you know, things that come out of that tax strategy, and you're saving personally for yourself. And that's why it's critical to look at the business and say, okay, this is the business. Here's me. Now the business has a value. Your home has a value. People think, oh, I don't have anything. Yes, you do. If you own a car, you have something. You know, you have something, and you have to think about putting something away for yourself or building that valuation for your retirement. So once again, separate the business from the retirement. It's critical.
Yep. And you said something about tax strategy, and that definitely plays into it. There are ways that if you don't feel like you can afford it, you're actually going to save yourself money by doing these things up front. So you're saving yourself the tax money, and that you won't have to pay that you can't afford, and you're saving for the future. So it's like you kind of get the double dip on that.
It's a win. You know, tax strategy is about putting more money in your pocket. Putting more dollars in your own pocket. That's what tax strategy is about. And believe it or not, you know, when I'm saying retirement, and there are 5 things, the first thing being planning, one of the prongs of planning is tax strategy. Your own personal, because you have to file personal taxes, and your business. Now, sometimes you are the business and you're filing that all together, but you still have to look at it. What am I doing for myself? How am I bringing all this to the table for my future? And I would tell you that, you know, the people that are in their 30s, 40s, business owners think it's so far away, and it's
Yeah,
not.
it's
You
not.
need to start right away. It's
You know,
critical that you start thinking of yours and the business, and
when I
bringing that together.
started my corporate America career, which was at 19 years old, I remember checking the box. I don't want a 401k. I don't want you taking money out of my check. I decline. And now at 42, had I had all the money that I could have had over the years, just putting in the bare minimum, I
Compounding.
now
Yeah.
regret it so much because I'm so far behind where I could have been just if I hadn't been worried about $50,
Well, we
or if
say
I
to
had
that to
seen
our
the
20
value.
somethings and our 30 somethings. Okay,
Uh-huh.
don't go get that coffee. Take that and put
Yes,
it in the account. Make your coffee in the morning, and
it
you'll
is.
see how much you would have saved,
Okay. I just did this experiment on myself. I ran out of coffee just this last week, and I decided to go to the little coffee hut that's around the corner every morning and get their drip instead of going to the freaking grocery store and buying my coffee bag. I spent in 3 days the same amount on coffee that I would have spent on a 2-pound bag that would have lasted me a month. And
And you
I
could put that away.
realized,
You could
I
have put that away.
realize, oh my God, people drive through for coffee every single morning on their way to work. All of that money that they're wasting, it's incredible. And that's just one example of
One example.
what you could do different
Yep.
to just, you
And
think
it's
you can't
compounded
afford
growth
it.
over time, right?
Yeah.
So you look at that
So you
20
think you can't
something,
afford it, but
and
really
they
you're
say they can't afford
spending
it,
on
and they're
coffee.
doing that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sorry to cut you
No,
off, but it's funny you said
no. So,
that because I just did
like I
it.
said, these 5 things. So it's planning. It's looking at your picture. It's looking
Yeah.
at retirement, trying to put away, save, invest. Now you might be
Mm-hmm.
investing in the business or a business as well as trying to save for yourself. So you have to look at both things, because
Yep.
the next kind of part of it that I'm going to add to this is healthcare. Healthcare costs for each of us are going up so much. And as
Yeah.
you get older, when you get in retirement, it's a big chunk of the big picture at that time. You're spending more on healthcare. And it's vital that you think of that early, and you look at what those costs could be. Are you in great health? Do you need a lot of care? Are you taking a lot of prescriptions? At 65, you go on Medicare, but it only covers so much. So you need these supplemental plans, and they cost a monthly amount, and there's premiums to pay, and it's part of your budget in retirement, and now you're not working. So you need to look at financial planning. We're going to keep recapping, and healthcare. Those are my first 2. The next thing with retirement planning is debt management. So this goes for everybody, not even just the business owner. So if you have a mortgage still, you've got an equity line, you have debt on your credit cards. As you go into retirement, or you say, I'm retiring at 67, age 67, you really want to decrease that. You don't want to have those types of debts hanging over your head as you're trying to go into retirement. Now, you might own a business. There's always going to be debt with a business, right? You're trying to buy inventory. You're trying to cover payroll, rent, supplies, whatever that may be. You're managing the debt, but you're also trying to manage valuation of your business. So the business has value, but it has value minus the debt, right? So debt management is huge for retirement planning. So we just said 3: financial planning, saving and investing, healthcare, healthcare costs, healthcare means, and then debt management, how much debt you have and what you're really retaining as you go into retirement. And then the next 2 things are more personal, I would say, for each person, looking at diversity of investments. So you can't have all your eggs in one basket. You can't have all your eggs in one stock. You can't have, my home is my whole entire asset. My
Yeah.
business is my whole entire asset. You need some diversity, and that's why these retirement plans or a retirement account or a savings account become critical, because they're liquid, they're yours. The business still is valuation. It's all about valuation. So diversity of investments. And then the last thing in retirement planning is your lifestyle. How do you spend? You know, what kind of things do you spend money on? And people get really surprised when they really micro, you know, budget and break down everything. We use an Excel spreadsheet and, you know, everyone's like, oh my gosh, I've got to fill that out. And I'm like, yeah, let's really analyze what you're spending per month now, and then what you would be spending in retirement. It makes such a huge difference. So lifestyle choices, lifestyle, you know, that you already have. Are you buying the Mercedes versus the Focus? Are you going on $10,000 vacations in retirement? You need to budget for that. So lifestyle is critical.
I'm not doing that now. I think I'm missing something here. I'll sign up for that program. I want to sign up for that one. For that one.
Well, I had a client come in, you know, and this is going to be very personal, but she's 62 years old, and we were doing her retirement planning. She was retiring because she was diagnosed with breast cancer. She's in remission.
Great.
She came out of it, but during that planning, she's like, I think I need to start now. I really need to start now. So the plan was originally 67, and now she's 62, and this happens. So when I talk about our whole office is about transition and life transitions, things that can just throw you a loop and throw you this curveball that you weren't expecting. But on top of that, it could be positive things, other things, you know, oh, it's my son's wedding and I'm giving him $30,000. Well, can you afford to do that? And how does that affect the big
how
picture?
did you get to have 30,000? I mean, how were you able to do that? Because not everybody's in that position. Like, and that's part, I think, of the saving and the investing and putting yourself ahead is like, oh, I actually had 30,000 to give him because of the steps that I've been taking to put myself in those positions.
To get to that space, you know, to get to that level.
Yes.
But, you know, when, like I said, when we're talking about retirement, I mean, the majority of people retire in their 60s. You know, you look at your Social Security statements, they give you a 62 number, they give you a 67 number. Well, retirement now, I have a lot of clients, I don't want to retire at 62. I don't want to retire at 67. I'm looking at 70, 72. Lifestyle, mind, mental, they want to keep sharp. They want the social aspect. So they're working longer. And then the retirement, the tax laws all changed. So the retirement ages changed. So we see
and on
lifestyle.
On the very
longer.
flip side of that.
And then it's
wow. Because see, on the very flip side of that, I keep seeing people want to retire in their 50s because they're like, I'm not going to wait to start enjoying life and go do all the things I want to do till I'm in my 60s and I can't do a lot of it. So they're wanting to get out earlier. They're wanting to be in their, 50s and done. And so that takes a lot different planning because it's almost an accelerated planning, I would imagine.
And we've seen that. So 50-somethings, we've seen some forced retirements because they're at the upper end of the pay scale. And so some corporations, if you're in corporate America, corporations are coming and saying, we want you to take this package. And then they're like, oh, does this package make sense? Does this work for me? I'd love to retire at 58. I'd love to retire at 56. And then they take the package and then they're trying to figure out the rest. So they're like in sticker shock, like, oh my gosh, okay, I just took this package. It looks great right in front of you, but can it last 30 years?
There you go. The earlier you retire, the longer you have to make that last.
To work. And then, I have some of my high net worth corporate America clients, they come to me and they'll be like, you know what? I want to take the package, but then I'm going to consult and I'm going to set this up. And then it becomes a whole different realm for them. Where now they're a business owner
the business.
It's
Yeah.
still making an income. They get to
Right.
control it, and then they love that. But so that
Yeah.
it just depends on what you're going to do after, how long you plan on now being in retirement. You have to plan out for that. You can't leave
Right.
it to chance. You
Nope.
can't.
And so speaking of that,
Yeah.
what are some things that you've seen over the years as a result of people not doing that? I'm sure you have stories. I'm sure you have
Oh, I
things
have
you can
so
share without giving too many
can't even
details.
pick just one. There's so many, but
Right.
when we talk about exit planning,
Yeah.
and we just talked about retirement planning, which goes for pretty much everybody. But when
Mm-hmm.
you are a business owner, when you are an entrepreneur, when you're a consultant and you have your own business, right? You need to think about the exit strategy.
Yeah.
Because if you're a mom and pop business, for example, have you thought of succession? Have you thought of who is going to take over that business to continue it? Or are you just done? Are you just going to shut the doors and be done?
Right.
The biggest thing with the business owner is the succession. Some see it as so far off, like retirement, but they should be planning for it immediately. They should be looking at valuation of business and what am I going to get out of that as I go towards retirement. And you kind of keep track of the value over the years so that you know that this is a viable asset for your future, for your retirement, for you personally.
Yeah.
So I would say succession planning, not doing it, is probably one of the biggest things I've seen as a problem.
Yeah.
And then, assuming the potential successor, I've had families, they assume their children want to take it. And then they get towards that time frame and the child's like, I really don't want to do this. And they're like, what?
I've seen that so much.
And it becomes this big thing.
Yeah.
Who's your potential successor? When could that be? Is it a business you want to have be perpetual? Or is it a business you can sell and then it rebrands? There are so many different ways that a business can be passed on or sold. But the valuation throughout the time that, the audience, if they're small business, entrepreneurs, consultants, they need to look at valuation. A consultant, what's the value? Maybe it's a client list, or it's not really product, but maybe a mom and pop shop, it's about their, how much product are they holding? Do they own the building? Do they have a staff that they're trying to maintain because they are making the decisions day to day and they're controlling value?
Yes.
So, we need to look at all of that. And I think for me, exit strategy, succession planning, that word succession is kind of strange too. Exit strategy, everyone, they hate the word retirement and they hate the word exit. So, we've got to change those terms, because maybe exit means, longevity and leaving something or being perpetual.
I love the
making
legacy
your business
word that you
perpetual.
mentioned earlier. Yeah. It's also, it's the legacy. It is a legacy if you're leaving it behind and it continues beyond you.
Right. So legacy, but even for exit planning, so we said succession, the value and sale process will become huge, and tax implications for a business. So when you go to sell that or pass it on or whatever you're doing, and you're trying to maybe grab an income stream from that, how do you set it up? How do you do it so you're getting the most in your pocket and there's the most value for that business?
Now, do you absorb a business's debt if it's passed on to you, or if you inherit it somehow because maybe somebody died unexpectedly? That would be, I guess, a huge consideration as well. You said debt earlier, but what about a business's debt if it is passed on?
Yeah, and it really that's a loaded question that you're saying.
Okay,
right?
the tiniest answer. Yes.
Are you are you trying to carry on that business name, how it's set up? Or did you just take on the asset, you know, and the company is dissolving and the company and it's their debt? You know, that's a really big question in regards to debt.
Yep.
And in regards to how it's set up and how it's being passed on. And maybe, you know, a person comes in and just buys one aspect of it because that's all it's worth. You know, we think it's worth all this, but this is where the value is. And, you know, for example, a client list or a product. Well, you spent all this. I didn't spend it, but I'll buy your product list. And maybe they have to use some of that to pay off their debt, you know? Yeah.
Oh, I love this. We've got an awesome.
There's a lot of things.
We've got an awesome and a great info. So far so good. Everyone's loving it. This is so much.
Well, I would say the last two things, if we're talking about exit strategy, that people need to remember are, one, the legal and the compliance, the regulatory, if you're involved in those industries. So legal, is there a non-compete agreement with somebody that's in the group, you know, on the team? Is there a partnership? And in the partnership, it says, you know, if this dissolves, I take all of this over. You can't sell that piece. So all of those things need to be addressed. And, you know, and making sure you have them. Do you have them right now? Do you have the appropriate documents for retirement strategy, an exit strategy, a legacy strategy? Because your business is an asset. And then the last thing I would say about exit that I think is probably, you know, it's the emotional preparation. It's the mental, right? I mean, we all, if you're a business owner, I'm a business owner, right? I own a financial planning practice. I work for a large Fortune 500, but I have my practice, and it's my purpose and it's my day-to-day. And if someone's really thinking, oh my gosh, it's an exit, I'm out, or I'm retiring, what am I going to do? That mental transition and preparedness needs to start happening quickly. And it needs to be looked at, not just, you know, a year before. You need to start looking at, so you know you're driving the bus that will take you where you want valuation, you want the right successor, and you want to see that either continue or be dissolved.
I think that's a thing I've seen over the years, is that when people retire, they're like excited that they don't have to do this thing anymore, but their entire identity has been assigned to what they did as a job.
Right.
And
it's deer in the headlights.
Really
I
hard.
think sometimes it hits after a year. You know, you sell your business, you're out there, you're like, yes, I'm free in a sense, right? It's about freedom, because at that point you're not worrying about all those things. It's about having that freedom. That's what retirement becomes, right? Freedom to make any choice you want to do. Anything you want to do that day is retirement, is that freedom. And I say this to my clients all the time. But if you're worrying, oh, they took that over and it's being, you know, run to the ground, and it's just causing you this unhappiness and this stress. You know, did I make the right decision? You know, a year later, 2 years later is when I see that emotional aspect kick in a lot. So it's important.
I also have
to get that mental preparedness that you're doing this. But that you've put the right things in place for comfort, and that you can do it.
And going back to lifestyle.
You know, what's the why?
Yes. And going back to lifestyle, I've also seen where somebody is so excited to be free and to be able to do all these things, but now they don't have the income to support the uptick in spend that their time is allowing them to have. So maybe you've, you know, always wanted to go on all these vacations and trips, and yes, you have a set income, but you haven't been spending that money, and now your bills are still what they are, and you don't have extra. And so there's that other, you know, set of emotions that go into, now I'm free, but I still can't do what I want. So now I don't have value.
So we call that income replacement. right? An income replacement strategy. Your salary's gone, right?
Yep.
Your means of a salary. And maybe now you're getting either a pension, Social Security, combination of both. Maybe there's a husband, wife, maybe there's wife, two are coming in, or maybe one's coming in. Maybe you're single.
Yeah.
How do you bridge the difference? Because Social Security is only 22% of our lifestyle currently when we go into retirement. That is a big, from 100% lifestyle to 22. Yep. How do you bridge the difference? The valuation of the business, what you've saved, how you've spent, all that comes into play. Now it's even more critical, so you don't want to wait.
Right. Your pre-tax investments that you can now draw from and so on. Yes. Oh my gosh, this was so jam-packed with goodness. Thank you so much. How can people reach out to you if they want to start putting these things into play?
You can go onto my website, and it's Corneau, Corneau, wealthmanagement.com. On my website, we do have, if you love a consultation, there's a place to go in and just check off a button, and you can put in a time that would work for you. We do consultations, and I say they're free. We don't charge for our initial consultation. We want to see if we're a fit for you, and you're interviewing us. So you can do that through the website. I'm on Facebook, Corneau Wealth Management, and on Instagram, obviously with you. And I would just say, if I can say one thing to everyone out there, is don't wait. Start today. Start planning. Start thinking. Start believing in what you're building and what you're doing for your families and for yourself.
I love that. I am sitting here thinking, I need to get on this. So I'll be your first consultation after today. So I'll go to your website. We're going to put all your information in the description as well, so that people can, if they're watching the replay, they can find you, or if they didn't write that down, they can still find you. And I so appreciate your time. It was really good to see you, and it's so fun that we matched.
I know, it's mental telepathy across the whole country.
Great minds across the whole country. I love it. All right. Well, everyone have a very good rest of your week, and thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.